everyone, welcome to Conversations with Otherworld. I'm Ishka and I channel Gwyn and Arthur MacAden, amongst other otherworldly beings. Today I'm going to recount to you a recent conversation with Gwyn. It's something that he feels very strongly about how you can help at this moment in time and how you can help to move us all in the right direction. After I've recounted the conversation, I will clarify a couple of terms because although in this channeling, Gwyn speaks very plainly, much more plainly than he normally does. There's not many double meanings. He uses a couple of terms that you might not be familiar with. So I'll just tell you what they mean at the end. Okay, so this is Gwyn on the song lines. The dream time, he said. Look at the dream time. You are in the dream time again. The void is the dream time. All creation and possibilities are there. It is not the darkness of fear and hidden danger. It is the darkness of the moment before matter forms. A heavy stillness pregnant with potential. Learn to walk through the dark without fear, for what you hold in your heart is what will form when the spark is ignited. Song lines, he says. Song lines. What are they? He asked me. Are they the deer trods? I answered. Yes, he said. They are the deer trods. They are the ways, Ellen's ways. Created by the great ancient migrations, strengthened by the walking of them by your ancestors, weakened now on purpose to neuter your power. Song lines in the land, and we travel across them. And people can make them, but people tend to follow them. But they must not be blocked. The deer trods, the fairy roads, the song lines, all one and the same, the old ways. Follow the old ways. The trees use them, as well as the mycelium, threads of power. Cut the threads and cut the lines of communication to all, not just trees, but all things. It's why they cut through woodlands and move the stones. Standing stones, I ask. Yes, they mark the paths, help keep them strong. Now you must strengthen the deer trods. You must strengthen the ways, the old roads, by walking them. All of you. Sing them into being again. Walk the land, follow the trods. Listen to your deepest self to know what is needed. Your role as keepers is to keep them well and to strengthen the deer trods, strengthen the ways, not just from where we were, but also make new ones. Walk the ways, cut new paths, spread the acorn, store the sproul. Store the sproul in rock crystal or quartz. Charge it from places where it is fierce and bring it from elsewhere and lay it on the ways that are weak and on the new ones that you have made so that they may grow. Spread mushrooms where there are none so all may speak. Leave the designated paths and walk the trods. When all can speak to each other once more, so will you. So that's a pretty strong message from Gwyn about what we could be doing at this time to help everything go in the right direction. Because he's talking about paths and journeying and directions, but he's talking about literal paths and what we can literally do to form new ones. So he's talking about deer trods. I don't know if you've seen the little trodden down paths that animals make in your garden or in the woods. Sometimes you see them trailing off away from the main path that the people walk. And they're not just there historically. He's saying we can also make new ones. And it all kind of knits everything together energetically. So, what are the ways and what is Sproul? So, the ways, the old ways, the deer trods are literally the tracks made by the migration of the deer in the landscape. Now, some of these tracks are ancient. They were made when the land was out, Britain was still joined to the European mainland by Doggerland. And the reindeer migrated thousands of miles across from what is now mainland Europe and across through the forests into Britain. And these ancient ways are those migratory tracks from the original migratory animals, the historic ones. And the ways are walked and guarded by Ellen of the Ways. Now, Ellen of the Ways is an ancient antlered deer-headed goddess whose presence in our land can be evidenced back at least 14,000 years. The only deer, which is a female with antlers, is the reindeer, is the only type of deer where the female has the antlers. And they became extinct in Britain a very long time ago. And this further evidences just how ancient some of these energy paths really are. Song lines, as I understand it, are something from Aboriginal culture. Within the dream time, which is the void, the time before matter took shape, there were the initial actions of what the Aboriginal culture refers to as the ancestors, the original people. And the original people came up in a message from Spirit the other day as well. So the initial actions of the ancestors created sacred sites and all the important places. And the ancestors made these epic journeys across the Aboriginal land. But also, we know in Britain, people were coming from mainland Europe to get to Stonehenge. So in all these places where there was these ancient sites, people of all kinds and all places were making these pilgrimage journeys to the sacred sites. And the journey itself is a procession of events that bring the land into being. The act of walking these ways and these trods and the song lines and the journeys that are recorded in songs and oral traditions mark the song lines and strengthen them. The best record we have for this is in Aboriginal culture, but there is evidence and hints of this across all ancient cultures, including our own. Now, the song lines literally show the connectedness between places and creation events and ceremonies associated with these places. And people born in that country, Aboriginal culture believes, are forever tied to the creation history of their birthplace and have custodial obligations to that place. And that's very important because we're being told in a lot of messages coming through from Otherworld at the moment that we are keepers, night keepers, keepers of the ways. There's this constant reference to a custodial obligation to the energy of the land. But this is still very strong in the songline culture of the Aboriginal oral culture. And the song lines are both the lines in the land of energy, but the history of the land in all time and space, woven as energy threads. Songs are passed down and become the basis of ceremonies of specific places along the song lines. And these are our equivalent of Ellen of the Way's deer trods in the Arweneth tradition, some of which we call ley lines, we understand it, some of which we call fairy roads. But I believe they are much more plentiful than what we refer to as ley lines, and much more subtle. They're the veins to the ley lines' arteries, if you like. But they're also ancient sites and sacred places, places that feel sacred, not necessarily that still are. We can sense it in the landscape, in the energy of the landscape. And they're connected together by these ways, and they form together an energetic network. Think of them as like a cloth woven from threads, and the cloth has a pattern. The song lines and deer trods are the threads, and the sacred sites and the strong sproul places, the special places, the enchanted places, are the pattern woven in, which form an integral part of the cloth as a whole. They're just as important as the lines themselves. So, what is sproul? Sproul is a term primarily used in England and Scotland that comes from a word in Old English called sprow, and it means a young shoot or sprout, which suggests that connection to nature. Sproul is the old word for the energy of a place. It's the raw energy of the land. Often it's described as the serpent, the life force, what we would kind of think of as chi or prana or kundalini energy, but of the land and us and all things that live in that field. So you may have felt sproul when you visited somewhere. It might have just felt special or enchanted. You were picking up on the sproul. You may have felt it bodily in the rush of a fast flowing stream or waterfall, even though you weren't touching the water. You may have felt it in a sacred place or in a forest or a grove or at the top of a hill and not been able to quite put your finger on why the place felt different or special. You are sensing the sproul. So Gwyn is talking about us reconnecting with all that is as part of it and understanding that we are part of it and not seeing ourselves as separate or special, but integral to the part of this rich tapestry that is all space and time and existence of the place where we are. And that we're in a time of creation, and that we ourselves and our actions are key to unlocking the flow of this energy. So Gwyn is saying, get out there again, get out there in nature, follow the deer trods, literally, sing to them, walk them, help them grow stronger. Sow acorns, mushrooms, put all the things back in place that will enrich these lines and yourself to build the connection between them and ourselves. He's saying, help weave the threads that bring all living things together in harmony at this time, and remember to include yourselves.